Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Pop Retro 1 on Twitter, Pop Retro 1 on Instagram, and Facebook.com/PopRetro1. That's where you can find me on the social medias. And wanted to take a few minutes today to talk about, gosh, one of the wildest movies that I've ever seen, and that is 1984's Wild Beasts. Now, this is a Severin Films Blu-ray release, and Severin released this, I believe, back in, looks like 2017. So I didn't get this back then. I only just recently picked this up. And so if there was a slipcover, I did not get it. I do not have it. So I don't know what that looks like if there was one from back then. But this movie is wild. It's directed by Franco E. Prosperi, and before I even really get into it, you know, I gotta say, no, I would not recommend you watch this movie with your family or with your children. Now, this is Prosperi is one of these guys that was big in that Mondo era of Italian movie making, and I'm reminded of when I was a kid, there was that series of movies, the Faces of Death series. And I remember, I mean, I was only like 7 or 8 years old, and my neighbor kid friends, you know, on the block, say, "Oh man, you seen Faces of Death?" I was like, "No, I haven't seen Faces of Death." And they would explain what it is. People really getting whatever killed or maimed on camera, or at least, you know, the idea behind that type of filmmaking was to make it look that way, and that was the shock value. And I still have never seen a Faces of Death movie, and of course part of me wonders, how did my 7 or 8 year old neighborhood friends actually get to see that back then? I guess their parents must have bought or rented the VHSs, and they wound up, you know, popping it in and watching it too. I don't know. This would have been in the early 80s. But at any rate, Wild Beasts comes from a director that, you know, sort of played with that type of filmmaking all through his career, dating back to the 60s, that Mondo style filmmaking. And so because of that, you have a lot of things that are not politically correct in this movie. You have a lot of scenes that are maybe that are inappropriate. People, you know, you don't want to watch this with just a regular movie crowd. If you're interested in how wild some of these Italian, whatever you want to call it, I guess, Mondo movies from this era and before, you know, if you're curious to see how they were made and what they did, then you can definitely check this out. Now, if you could make an edited version where you edited out the, quote, problematic scenes in this, it is actually a movie that would be really fun to watch with your friends and watch with your kids when they're old enough or whatever, because there actually is, on an 80s sort of B movie level plane, there's a lot of fun to be had with Wild Beasts. When a drug gets into the water supply of a town, these beasts go, and by beasts, I mean the animals at the local zoo park, they go nuts, they go crazy, they break out, they escape, and they start terrorizing the town. And a guy named John Aldrich plays the hero, and he's hilarious because he's got this, he looks like Magnum PI, he looks like a Tom Selleck, and the dialogue is overdubbed. And so it's very stilted in places, and it just reminds you of those movies, foreign movies from that time that you watched growing up. And the animals, they play their parts well. I mean, there's some animal attacks in this movie that are so realistic looking that a lot of it's done with, you know, quick cutting and kind of a lot of blurred out stuff, you know, because the cutting's so fast, so you can't really tell what's going on, but it really does kind of look harrowing, and it's like nothing else that I've ever seen in one of these animal attacks styles of movies. And so to me, I like cheesy B-grade stuff, and I've, over the last, I don't know, 12, 15 years, I've really gotten into like watching all the old Giallo films that came out from Italy and other European countries back in the day, and they've been really popular for years now, getting released on Blu-ray and boutique Blu-ray releases. And so this, I guess I could say, kind of falls along that realm because it's such a wild, non-politically correct endeavor viewing. And so the fun part, there's also Lorraine Dessel, who's kind of well known in some of these wild Italian films. She's also in this movie. She plays the girlfriend of John Aldrich, the star. Other people who star in it: Louisa Lloyd and Ugo Bologna. And so a couple of the quotes on the back from reviewers that Severin put on the back of the case. There's a look at it, by the way. I thought summed it up really well. It says, spectacular optical, a vivid reminder of a lost era of pure exploitation cinema. And then schlockomania.com says, a mind blower. One viewing of this film will reveal that Prosperi ended his directing career as outrageous as it began. So if that's you, if you are looking for something that's really going to push your boundaries and you haven't watched this yet, you haven't seen Wild Beasts, then yes, check it out, because I tell you what, this pushed my boundaries and I'm not offended by anything. And so but again, the actual storyline of these humans trying to survive when these animals go on the attack is good suspense, and it's put together really well. And I thought it was those set pieces were directed pretty well. I thought that there was some real scariness, some real fright, some real fear that you feel, that I felt as a viewer watching this thing unfold. So again, the Severin release. Let's take a look. There is some special features on here. Altered Beasts, an interview with director Prosperi. This, I think, must be an older interview, because I think I looked it up and he passed away in 2004. So I'm guessing it's an old interview from an old DVD release, perhaps. Wild Tony, an interview with Tony DeLeo, who another actor in the film. Cut After Cut, interview with editor and Mondo filmmaker Mario Mora, who edited Wild Beasts. And The Circus is in Town, interview with animal wrangler Roberto Taberti's son, Carlo. And it does say that a lot of the animals on here were here it is, supervised by professional circus trainers. So the animals on here were supervised by circus trainers. If that, whatever that means, that's apparently what was going on here in 1983 when this thing was filmed in Italy. House of Wild Beasts, a visit to the home of Franco Prosperi, and an international trailer. So there you have it, folks. Wild Beasts from 1984, Severin releasing. This is a title that's still available at their website. You can probably find it on Amazon. I'll put the links down in the description of this video. So if it's something that you want to check out, then you can go ahead and click on those links and pick yourself up a copy. But again, if you're really sensitive to some of this stuff, and if you're really curious about some of the stuff I'm talking about, just look it up. Look up any reviews on Amazon or on Letterboxd or wherever, and it'll show you the type of stuff. You may not want to watch this, and I definitely don't suggest watching it, with your normal family members or with the kids. So, all right, thanks for joining me on this review video. I'm going to try to do more reviews as time goes on here. Heading into the Christmas season, I got some Christmas movies I'm going to be reviewing, and those will be coming up real soon. So I'll catch you then.